Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I'm going to talk about the month of August, and there are so many dates and events that you're going to want to know about and have documented. And the way you can do that is if you sign up for my free newsletter, go to galacticcenter.org. You will be able to sign up for my free newsletter and get all the dates and timing, plus the astrological charts that I'm referring to, all in the newsletter. And while you're at my website, galacticcenter.org, remember to check out all the exciting events I have going. I just started a new semester 1 with the university, and I have Shooting Stars, which is an empowerment group you can become part of. And don't forget my monthly magazine. This month, we have Aaron Doughty, which is a major influencer. We have a wonderful, beautiful interview that he gave us, and it's all in Joni Patry's Astrology Insights magazine. So find that on my website. So let's get going, and let me tell you all about what to expect in the month of August, because the month of August, everything is building to a crescendo. This is the time that you must take heed and take care of yourself. I'm going to give you explicit directions on how to raise your consciousness in this particular report, because we need to raise our consciousness. We all need to get healthy, because September is the month that I'm saying all eyes must be on September, because this month is the prep and the buildup to what is about to happen in the month of September. Now, in September, I am saying there will be an event that will change us. And you see, here is the thing. People don't change unless they have to. And I'm telling you, now you have to, because if you wait till September, it could be too late. There could be a major health crisis, and it's going to start showing up this month. So what I'm seeing this month is actually where the tides are turning. Things are beginning to radically change. Let me tell you, let me jump ahead to the new moon that's going to be happening August 16th. It is going to happen at the last degree of Cancer, 29 degrees of Cancer. What's a new moon? A new moon is when the sun and the moon come together exactly. You won't see it in the night sky, because when the moon comes together exactly with the sun, you won't see it rise. Then all of a sudden the next day you'll see a sliver as the new moon grows in its waxing phase. But on August 16th, we're going to have this big seed planted. Now, remember, I have talked so much about when planets are Gandanta. What does Gandanta mean? It means when the planets are the last few degrees of a water sign or the very first few degrees of a fire sign. And Gandanta actually literally means not. There's something up, there's something causing problems. But let me just say this. I was always taught that Gandanta gives a sense of drowning. Now, when you feel like you're drowning in emotion, or actually literally drowning in the water, you feel like you have no control. So this is a time when we're all going to feel out of control. And this new moon is the very beginning of something big happening. And when I say 29 degrees of Cancer, now Cancer is a very emotional, sensitive sign. And yes, I am doing the sidereal zodiac. I do not do the Western tropical zodiac. So yes, my positions are different. But remember, my positions are relative to the true placements of the stars. Vedic sidereal astrology. Sidereal means star, and it is true to the placements of where the stars truly are. I love that about Vedic astrology. This is what makes it so predictive. The stars, a grouping of stars, they never change. They stay in their relative constellation signs. This is important. So 29 degrees of Cancer. Let me tell you a few people that I have studied their charts that have 29 degrees Cancer in their charts. One is Natalie Wood. Her Mercury was 29 degrees Cancer in her natal chart. Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys, his ascendant was 29 degrees of Cancer. What do they have in common? They both drowned. That was how they died and left the planet. So another thing I noted, that when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, Rahu and Mars were at 29 degrees of Cancer. And this was a huge event with floods and water. So that's what I'm predicting. This is hurricane season in the United States again. Seems like it's always upon us. So look out, this is going to be a treacherous hurricane season this year. August is the month, halfway through, third week. Watch how we're going to be watching the weather more. More storms, more violent eruptions, more emotional, out of control events. And on top of it, not only do we have this 29-degree new moon, planet Uranus is almost exactly within a degree squaring this moon. What does Uranus deal with? Sudden unexpected events. And we're going to have a lot of unexpected events about to show up that are going to happen suddenly and surprisingly. So get ready. The new seed is planted for enormous change that is about to come through. So moving on to some other events this month, because as I said, it's a very eventful month. And it is moving towards the big culmination, huge event that will happen. And this is all leading up to it. So Saturn is starting to slow down. It is retrograde, but it is going to slow down, and for 3 months, starting the end of this month, August, it's going to approach the degree focus of around 7 degrees. It's going to back up to 6 degrees and station. And this is going to take place for 3 months. So basically September, October, November, December, all of this, Saturn is slowing down. But when it reaches that 7-degree mark, look out. And that is happening the end of August and definitely in September. This is the degree of the United States natal moon in the chart I use. And when you get my free newsletter, I will give you that chart. It's in my newsletter along with the new moon chart where all the planets are, to show you where this is headed. So whenever Saturn comes to the moon, in Vedic astrology, we call this Sati Sati. Sati Sati is deemed as one of the most difficult times in life. And yes, traditionally, Sati Sati means 7.5 years. So it's really around the time that Saturn gets to the sign before, the sign of, and the sign after the natal moon in an individual's chart. But I'm talking about the chart for the United States. So the United States is in Sati Sati, the deepest, darkest time of Sati Sati, when Saturn is on the moon. That's the worst part of Sati Sati, in my opinion. And another thing that's relative to that degree mark, well, the moon sits in the 3rd house. The 3rd house deals with communications, deals with travel, deals with anything to do with mass media. And this is going to be coming under scrutiny with Saturn being on the United States natal moon. But there's another point that I always use, and people always ask me, well, why am I just looking at Biden's chart? Because he's the president of the United States. I'm not looking at other people's charts because the chart that is most relative to what's going to be happening in a country is going to be that country's president, not people running for president or anything else or former presidents. The president's chart will reflect what's going on in that country. So, looking at Biden's chart, his natal K2, which K2 can represent many things, but most of all, K2 is the indicator of loss. And it's the indicator of spirituality, and many times it deals with letting go of things. K2 represents where something doesn't feel whole or complete in a chart. But President Biden's K2 sits at 7 degrees of Aquarius, where Saturn will be. And this represents great difficulty for the United States at this time, as well as difficulty for him. So you're going to see for the next end of this year, which I did a very candid video that talked about the last 3 months of the year, a lot is going to be happening. Everything's going to happen, as a matter of fact. But we're starting to move into this critical phase now. And what I am seeing with Saturn is going to, it's going to be 6 or 7 degrees retrograde, and that's going to turn direct, where it will, as I said, be there for 3 months. September 19th through December 19th, Saturn will be 6 degrees of Aquarius. This is huge. And the next thing that I'm seeing is August 18th is going to be a huge turning point. And as I made reference, this new moon that happens August 16th, that's the seed. Then August 18th will be when Mars goes into Virgo. And Mars will be in Virgo, August 18th for a couple of months or six weeks to follow. But as it's in Virgo, it's going to be in a critical place because it's going to be casting an opposition to Neptune, and it will be in a quincunx, which is the most difficult aspect, to Rahu. And you're going to see a lot of things. Mars is going to be in a quincunx, actually, to Saturn. So Mars is going to actually form a yod, which is called the finger of God. I've been talking about this, but Mars in Virgo, so August and September, it's going to form a yod with Saturn and Jupiter. And while it is in Virgo, it's also going to cross over Saturn in the United States chart. This will be happening in September, actually, when Mars will cross over the United States Saturn, which is in the 10th house, which represents major changes in leadership for the US. So that's why I'm saying that September, it's all leading. But as soon as Mars enters Virgo, then we're going to start looking at the health crises that this is going to bring to the forefront. This health crisis, it might just mean a very bad flu season around the world. But with the way the media is, they're going to scare everyone. Now, do I think it is going to be a catastrophic, another pandemic? No. So don't let the media scare you. So there's going to be lots of fear culminating. And so what do I always say fear does? Fear causes disease, and disease causes fear. Don't let this disrupt your life. You've got to raise your consciousness aside from being very conscientious with elevating your immune system during this time. So August 18th, watch how everything will start with the transit of Mars. And this could even mean when Mars crosses over Saturn in the United States chart, that this could be some kind of attack on the US. So be aware, or something dealing with the government going down, but something, a big change in leadership will happen. So moving on to the many other things that are going to be happening this month, you're going to want to know what's happening. And like I said, strengthen your health. Raise your vibration. I can't say that enough, but I will. But Venus is retrograde the entire month of August. It won't turn direct till September 3rd. So this whole month, remember when a planet goes retrograde? I talked about this last night, and I have an entire video on Venus retrograde. But let me remind you and recap a few things because it's important for you to remember. This will be the time that relationships will be very difficult in many ways for all of us. So if you have a relationship that is walking on thin ice, look out. This is the month that everything is going to come up. Because what is it really about? When a planet goes retrograde, it brings forth what that planet's all about in order for you to look deeper into it, to heal what the issues are relative to that planet. Venus rules love. Venus rules relationships, marriage. And any cracks in this will come to the forefront for you to work on and heal. Why? Because when Venus is retrograde, it's going backwards. So it's making a major imprint in your life. Furthermore, when a planet is retrograde, it is closest to planet Earth, and in this case, the Sun. And actually, when Venus is retrograde, it's in an inferior conjunction, which means Venus is between the Earth and the Sun, closest to the Earth. But it will conjoin the Sun. It's traveling with the Sun, so it is combust. When a planet is too close to the Sun, it is weakened tremendously, okay? So Venus ruling love, aspects around love and relationships are going to be very difficult. So it is a time for healing. That's what it's all about. And you're going to have to look at the issues around healing your relationships. Now, many times when Venus is retrograde, it brings back old flames, old relationships, loves that you didn't heal. So it can bring back an old love. But what it's really doing is asking you to heal the issue around that relationship. So if you're in a relationship or a marriage, an old issue will come back. Maybe it's not an old lover, but an old issue will come back for you to heal it. It's an opportunity for growth. Remember that. So this is actually a good thing, even though it's going to be difficult. So Venus is combust the Sun, retrograde. There is one day that Venus does conjoin the Sun in its Cassimi. That's a good day. But relative to that, the whole time pretty much when Venus is retrograde with the Sun, look out. You're going to have to work on the issues that you left unattended before. But remember this will only make your relationships much better in the future. So if you heal the relationship and you work hard on it, it will bring more love and satisfaction and healing into your life. Remember that. Work on it. Opportunity for growth. And another thing for you to better understand what this could be about, remember in Venus's cycle, looking at all the times that it goes retrograde and direct, there is this cycle of what Venus forms is a pentagram in the sky. So a pentagram is 5 different times of the Venus retrograde that is referring to. So this whole process that Venus takes to complete this entire pentagram, it will return back to exactly where it was. It takes 8 years. And going back to the last time, Venus will actually return to the same exact degrees in the zodiac that it was 8 years ago. I'm sorry, this is, yes, 8 years ago. And so I went back and 8 years ago when Venus was exactly the same degrees in the months of July and August of 2015. So go back. Try to remember what happened that summer, July and August 2015. That will give you better information as to what the understanding and the healing is for your Venus, what will take place now in the month of August. Okay, so I think I've made that clear. Now, Mercury, Mars, and Venus, for the most part this whole month, mostly Mars will be in Leo. It's going to, of course, go into Virgo, as I said, by the 18th of this month. But Mercury, Mars, and Venus are pretty much going to be in Leo. Venus will transit back into Cancer, but at the first part of the month, they're all in Leo. They never exactly conjoin because Venus is retrograde. Mars is still moving forward. Venus is moving retrograde. So Mars will go into Virgo and Venus will actually go into Cancer while it's in this retrograde process. But Mercury, here is something interesting, by August 23rd through September 15th, Mercury will be retrograde. Seems like it's always retrograde, but here we go. Here we go again. Mercury will be retrograde, and when it's retrograde, it will be entirely in the sign of Leo the whole time. And what you may not know about Leo, Leo is the sign of entertainment, the entertainment industry. Leo is actually the 5th sign. And if you think about astrology, the 5th house is the house of creativity, and it is the house that deals with actors, performers, stage appearances. Leo is the sign of performers, and especially the nakshatra that is completely in Leo, Purva Falguni. That is a nakshatra that many actors, movie stars, performers have in their chart, because that particular nakshatra and the sign of Leo deals with the need to express yourself. So my point is, getting back to what this can mean, I think it means that the strike dealing with the actors, when Mercury is retrograde, it is not going to be over. We're going to come to some really extremes with this strike with the actors. And yes, it's going to affect Hollywood big time. A lot of things needs to come up and be cleared out, and the unfairness and what's been going on with these studios. The pay. Truth's coming out, and Mercury retrograde means it's going to be, I think, come to a critical standoff when Mercury's retrograde. Mercury is retrograde when? August 23rd through September 15th. So this actor strike is going to continue on in the entertainment industry. So get ready. Your favorite shows may be on hold. All right, so what else do I foresee coming about with this month? So a big thing is I'm looking at when Mars will oppose Neptune. This is going to be August 22nd. I mentioned that before. But what is Neptune? You've heard me speak about it many times, but one of the critical things that Neptune does rule that many people don't think about is disease. And that's why I know Mars in the sign of Virgo. Virgo's the sign of health and healing. And Neptune being exactly opposed in Pisces, Mars is going to bring out this disease potential, whatever the big scare will be. So get ready for that. Now, another thing is August 20th, the sun will go into a yod with planets Neptune and Pluto. Neptune and Pluto are in a sextile together, means 60 degrees from each other. And they move so slow that they really do stay in the sextile for a very, very long time. And I've noted that about every year, especially starting from the year 2021, 2022 through 2024, every time the sun goes into Leo, it's going to set off this yod. So it's not a rare thing, but it's when the sun is in Leo. And this yod, remember what I say, yods are finger of God. And the sun in astrology is the indicator, the karaka of leadership. So this is going under big scrutiny around the world, with many countries that leaders are coming under great scrutiny and a lot of problems are showing up. So there's going to be a big turnover in leadership around the world for the next 4 years while this yod is set off many times, but it will be set off this year around August 20th. Now, Uranus, the planet of sudden unexpected changes. Of course, I said it's going to be at a point where it's going to be squaring that new moon, August 16th. But get ready, because it is going to turn retrograde. Now, when an outer planet, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto turn retrograde, they're retrograde for about 5 months. But when they station to turn retrograde, they wake up. Uranus says the Great Awakener will wake people up in many, many ways. But on top of that, Uranus rules sudden unexpected changes. And it is going to station, it's going to turn retrograde August 29th at 28-29 degrees of Aries. That's a critical place. So it's going to intensify the energy of Uranus, which is the planet of unexpected sudden changes. And what are unexpected and sudden? Earthquakes, earth changes, volcanic eruptions. And I simply believe that the volatility of the masses and the people definitely have an effect on what makes the earth shake. So we're looking at some critical events towards the end of this month. And so with all of these things happening, the quincunxes, the yods, there's going to be major yods in September. With Mars, Mars is going to go into that critical place in Virgo and be there throughout this month, starting on the 18th through September. Actually, Mars will be in Virgo. It's going to be August 18th through about the first few days in October. So that's going to be the span of this health crises or critical fear. And I say, not only do you watch your diet, exercise, get healthy, what's up here is everything. Raise your consciousness. Do not let in the fear that the media many times wants to instill, because then they can control the masses much better when they're fearful. So how do I look to raise my consciousness? Let me give you some little tidbits, things that I do that I know will work for you, because it's worked for me. When you go to bed at night, when you're right before you're falling asleep, that is when you're in the zone where you can connect to your subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is where everything's stored from your entire life. It's what really dictates your behavior many times, because we react by what is recorded in our subconscious. That's what we do when we go into the dream state. So right before you fall asleep at night, this is when you're getting ready to go into the subconscious mind where you dream. But the subconscious mind knows everything. And if you can rewrite what is in the subconscious mind, you can change your life. So right before you fall asleep at night, do positive affirmations. And most of all, I want you to affirm how healthy you are, how strong your immune system is, how powerful and healthy, and how grateful you are for all the wonderful and beautiful things in your life. Empower yourself with positive affirmations when you're going to sleep, whatever you want to manifest. But please remember, the only person you can change is you. Don't be using affirmations to change other people. That will hurt you. So do your affirmation work. And one of my favorite affirmations of all time is, may the best thing for my highest good come into my life now. That's an affirmation I use daily. Use it right before you fall asleep. If you feel like you can't do this, get some affirmation positive tapes that you listen to right before you fall asleep at night. I am healthy. I am strong. I am happy. All of these positive affirmations, get those going into your mind right before you fall asleep. And when you wake up the next morning, start thinking about all the things that you are grateful for. When you put out gratitude, you're going to create more things to be grateful for. This empowers your life to be the best it can be, to bring joy and happiness into your life. So practice gratitude and think about all the things you have to be grateful for when you're waking up the next day. And all of us have things to be grateful for. Focus on the good all day. Whenever you come up with difficult thoughts, scary thoughts, fearful thoughts, exit. Start thinking about the good in the world. And if you think there's nothing good in the world, you're wrong. The world is full of beauty. It's full of nature. Go out for a walk. Look at the plants, the trees, the beauty in this world. Think about all the good there is in this world. And most of all, I use meditation. And even if you feel like you can't meditate, just do it for a few minutes. And when you do, visualize using your breath, breathing in iridescent white light to cleanse every cell of your body and make you pure and clean and eliminate any darkness. We do this exercise in the Shooting Stars. If you want a community, by the way, every week to keep you on track with such things, check it out. It's on my website, galacticcenter.org. Look for Shooting Stars. It is an incredible community of powerful people that work on higher consciousness. Now, one of the main things, and I told my class last week in Shooting Stars that I want everyone to do, is to focus on your words. Words have power. You may think things, and that's powerful. Because if you're thinking negative thoughts all the time, guess what you're going to attract in your life? Negative circumstances. So you got to change your thinking to positive. But what you say is so much more powerful than what you're even thinking when you put it into words. So listen to what you're saying. If you're using negative words such as hate, such as mean, just terrible, horrible, all those words, change them to positive, fantastic, beautiful, incredible, amazing. Change your words to positive ones. Love is one of the most beautiful words. What do you love? And last but not least, love heals all. Love heals everything in this world. So when you come from a place of love, and we all do, we love certain foods, we love certain people, and you know, when you say that, but then you backtrack into the negative, you've got to continue to bring the positive forward and think about the people and the things you love. And eventually you will love everything in this world. And I know a lot of you go, there's no way I can love everything and everyone in the world. But here's what I'm saying. When you come from a place of love, what you learn and understand is everything happens for a reason. And even though we're going through this critical time historically, that it's an amazing time to be on the planet, realize that everything's happening for a divine and a good reason. Yes, we have to go through difficulty to get to that. It's a healing. And really, it's kind of our resistance to the healing that causes it to be difficult. But there is resistance. And everything is happening for a divine reason. And the world will be a better place because of all the happenings that we're about to go through. So remember to love everything. And you will, when you do these things, you will come through this time as a better, happier, blissful, joyful person. And that is my promise to everyone that practices higher consciousness techniques to heal and change their life and to reflect and have an effect on the world. So with that, I'll close. And remember, if you want to learn more about me and my classes and all the things I have going, go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And remember, if you want to learn Vedic astrology, I have an online university that is amazing. What an amazing group of people we have from all countries around the world. Go to universityofvedicastrology.com. Thank you.